Jade, switch to Pictionary modus. Yeah, that one's obviously not gonna work. You switch to Pictionary, a choice based on a strong whim from the mysterious ethers of democracy. Jade, try out new Pictionary modus. Okay, you start by trying to grab your lunch top. After you ditch an unwelcome solicitor first, that is. You've got to concentrate here. Jade, draw lunch top. You draw a really nice looking squiddle lunch top on the capture log scribble pad. The modus recognizes what you're trying to draw and snaps it right up. Nice job. Jade, capture log the beta. Look those fabulous beta envelopes you just drew. Your Skilladex thinks they're fabulous too. Yeah! You do a very quick doodle of nothing in particular. The scribble pad appears to be processing the shapes. Is that Charles Dutton? I guess. I don't know who that is. Since you do not actually have a Dutton photo lying around, the pad capture logs a Dutton photo ghost image. It is not a tangible item and can never be used ever. It seems to be more of an imprint on the card itself, like a watermark. However, the back of the card does seem to contain a viable capture code for a real Dutton photo, for whatever it's worth, which is very little. Jade, draw a pumpkin. You sketch a beautiful succulent pumpkin, knowing perfectly well that a pumpkin ghost image will be capture logged because you are quite sure there is not a pumpkin in this room and there surely never will be. You capture log a pumpkin ghost image. At least you have the capture code on the back in case you ever want to replicate a real one. Oh no! Jade, get the rest of your items. You start by drawing your tangle buddies, but it looks like it's having trouble understanding the shapes. Darn, you wanted those. Jade, capture log base on card with Dutton ghost image. It's not up to you to say what card it goes on. The modus decides. All you get to do is draw. Anyway, you try sketching your electric bass. It's kind of hard to draw accurately. No, that's just a ghost image of an ordinary bass. That's not right. You try again, focusing on getting all the mechanical details just right. Arg! Oh no, busted. The jig is up. You are returned to your bedroom without the rest of your loot. You doubt you'll have time to go back and get it. You guess you have inadvertently left your own time capsule there for whatever party may find it in the future. Lucky bastards. Jade, install beta. You get started installing both discs. Might as well get a jump on it to avoid the sort of future drama that results from poor time management decisions. Jade, pester chums. In the meantime, you decide to touch base with your pals. Ugh, no, not those pals. The troll slum can just sit tight for now. Dave began pestering Rose. He says, Rose, are you there? I went through the gate. Nana said you might be here too. Are you in kind of the spooky, glowy place with oily rivers and stuff? Let me know. Jade began pestering Dave. John. Jade began pestering John. She says, John, hi! And he says, hi, Jade. Guess where I am? And she says, are you on the ground below the clouds yet? And he says, yeah. Wait, how did you know that's where the gate goes? Did you talk to Rose? Can she see me while I'm down here? She won't answer. And Jade says, no, I haven't talked to her yet, but I'd like to soon. I've got a lot of catching up to do with all of you. Sorry I've been so scarce. I've just been so busy rolling all around like crazy and looking after my dog and stuff all day. I think he just locked me in my room, actually, slanty face. John says, oh man, he sounds like such a handful. And Jade says, yeah. And he says, but it's okay. I think he's mostly just looking out for you, like a guardian angel or something. If I were you, I would take him out behind the woodshed and give him a big hug. And Jade says, happy face. Hey John, can you hold on? I have to talk to Dave and start playing this game with him. And he says, oh, what game? And she says, Spurb, duh, what else? And he says, what? I thought you didn't even know what Spurb was. And she says, oh geez, I was asleep when I said that, silly. Of course I know what it is. And he says, oh, okay. Where did you even get it? She says, from the ruins. It's Dave's copy. John says, wow, the thing you just said doesn't even make the slightest bit of sense. And she says, I know, right? Hee 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 hee. Oh, that reminds me, since I'm setting the game up with Dave to be a server, you're gonna need to do the same thing for me. And he says, oh really? This is news to me. And she says, can you see from where you're standing the place your dad's car would have fallen? And he says, oh yeah, I think so. It'll be kind of a long walk though, this place is huge. She says, you should go there and get your copy of the server and set up with me. Oh, and also get your package, smiley face. And he says, okay. Wait, how did you know my dad's car fell down here? And she says, John, will you stop trying to trap me? You told me the car fell, remember? Jeez. And he says, jeez. And she says, jeez. And he says, okay, fine, well, color me suspicious anyway, Miss Know-It-All McPsychic Pants. And she says, John, I am not any more psychic than you, though. And he says, okay, sure, I am convinced. You have convinced me. Psychic, psychic, psychic. Also, I told you the package was in the car, but I never mentioned that the game was in there, too. So kinda totally busted, I guess. Give me a P. Give me an S. And she says, ha ha, ha 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 ha. Oops, okay. I mean, I know lots of things, but I'm really serious. It's no more information than what you have access to. But you don't know it yet. Anyway, we can talk more about it soon. I won't have to be so coy with you anymore because I'm pretty sure most of the stuff that was supposed to happen has already happened. I couldn't tell you about it because it would have messed it up. And he says, okay, that is fair. She says, just give me a few minutes while I set up the game and say hi to the salamanders for me, heart. Oh, crap. Dave, pester Rose. Dave began pestering Rose. He says, hey, will you open your laptop already? See, this is why you need a phone or something that alerts you to important messages instead of leaving them trapped under 3 inches of freaking yarn. Laptops don't need cozies. Nothing needs cozies. Cozy is a gosh dang adjective. Maybe I'll crochet myself an iPhone snuggly. What is this place anyway? What are you doing? I can see your whole dang house here, and if you want to get filled in on something, I'm sort of the guy with the big picture here. Don't make me bop you on the head with a wizard. I'll do it. Okay, no I won't. Yet. I guess I'll bone up on the FAQ for a while, so I don't do anything stupid and deploy like 10 crooks, I think that's a dingus, and frick up the whole game. Oh my gosh, so many words. Do you think like the Pulitzer Committee is secretly scouring the dregs of the game FAQ archives or something? Dang, can't read this crap, I'm sorry. Jade began pestering Dave, and she says, yo, yo, and he says, well, okay, hey. Well, okay, hey. And she says, so, you're finally playing the game with Rose? And he says, yeah, but she won't answer me. And Jade says, she probably just exploring. I'm sure she will come around soon. But it's great that you got her out of there in time. And he says, pretty much. You have no idea how much I freaking own at this game. I bested no less than 3 flaming tornadoes and broke a huge wizard. And she says, so how does it feel to be a big-time hero, Mr. Bravey Brave McHero Pants? And he says, it feels like I'm in sports, all alone, and I am the star. It's me. And then the big man comes. And she says, hee 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 hee. But it turns out to be crazy what kind of basketball this man plays. Hoop is on fire. Okay, I forget how it goes. And he says, no, you're good. No, you got it. We're good. Reference secured. And she says, yes. So now it is my turn to be the star. I will be your hero. It's me. And he says, wait, what? She says, I installed the game. I'm connecting to you as the server player. He says, oh man, this is ridiculous. I just set this crap up with Rose and now I gotta do like some double duty thing. I mean, I own it the game, but can't I just relax for half a second? And she says, don't worry. You can keep playing with Rose while I just set up a few things. I figured I'd get a good head start to avoid all the drama you guys are always getting into. Such a bunch of drama queens. And he says, what? Look, I was getting my butt handed to me by my bro on the roof for like an hour and a half. I got served like a dude on Butler Island. And she says, drama, drama, drama. And he says, wait, does this mean there's a big meteor coming soon? And she says, yes! And he says, when you activate the thing, will it start the countdown and summon the meteor? And she says, it'll come when it comes, regardless of what we do. The timer really just lets you know when it's coming. And he says, are you totally sure about all this? And she says, yes, look, here it is. And he says, okay, yes, that image is definitely conclusive proof of something and is 100% understandable by anyone who looks at it. How big is this thing? And she says, it is really, really big. And he says, like the size of Rhode Island or Texas or what? I need some context to know how much crap I should be crapping into my pants. And she says, okay, I don't actually know, sad face. And he says, well, as if, like, one the size of a bus wouldn't kill me anyway. And she says, haha, yeah. And he says, wait, hold on, Rose is finally opening her stupid laptop. So do your thing, I guess. Have fun. And she says, thanks, I will, heart. John, answer troll. It's Gray, began pestering John. He says, hey, John, calm the heck down. And John says, how did you find me? And Gray says, find you? What do you mean? And John says, I changed my chum handle, ditch you guys. How did you find me? And Gray says, oh, ha ha, ha 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 ha. This is the little word humans say repeatedly when something tickles their absurdity palate, right? And John says, lame. And Gray says, we never lost you. Your ruse didn't fool us. It just so happens we didn't particularly give a crap about talking to you in that time frame. And John says, what, the last few months? And he says, we have the entire continuum of your existence to choose from when contacting you. The period was unremarkable. Sort of like your whole life. But I guess I mean it was especially unremarkable. This has been explained to you so often it would make me sick to my human stomach if I had one of your human stomachs. And John says, okay, this time I'll believe that you aren't human, because the skepticism center of my brain is starting to wear kind of thin, I guess. But you're still a major butthole, and I don't actually want to talk to you, so bye. And Grace says, wait, but I'm not here to troll you this time. We're friends, okay? And John says, ha 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 ha. Oh man, look at this outburst of little human words I'm saying. From my human mouth. And Gray says, fine, you can think I'm a freaking douche, and maybe I am, but here's the fact, idiot. I already had lots of conversations with you. In the future. I mean, your future. I've kind of been working backwards here for a while, and it's a little frustrating. Every time I go further back, you know less and less, and you don't remember anything I said because it hasn't happened yet, and I have to repeat myself a lot, and I'm getting pretty freaking sick of it. And John says, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And Gray says, well, it's not like I mapped out this trolling onslaught very well in advance. I mean, when you troll someone, you just sort of do it. You don't start drawing flowcharts and diagrams and stuff. And John says, wait, you have something to do with this game, don't you? I should have known. And Carcat says, oh, I'm so sorry. And Gray says, you know who it was. Oh gosh, not again. Frick no. I'm just not going to explain this to you again. You'll get plenty of dirt on all this from me in future conversations. Tedious conversations. Ones I've already had with you. Where your demeanor will gradually become inexplicably and revoltingly friendly towards us. And so I guess it was just kind of infectious, and now we're all buddies, I think. It's really weird, this human emotion you call friendship. And John says, friendship isn't an emotion, frick nuts. And Gray says, see, that is what I'm talking about. You're much more tolerable a guy than I thought at first, okay, John? And John says, what, are you kissing my butt? What do you want? Why don't you just tell me what's going on? Are you in the medium? And Gray says, okay, fine, yes we are. And John says, here, in this land, with the clouds and oil and stuff? And Gray says, more of this narcissism. You always think everything revolves around you. We have nothing to do with your dumb little windy planet, or your petty little quests, or for all that matter, your entire game session. You aren't the only ones playing the game. Every group of players gets their own distinct blank slate session, as will be explained to you many times. And John says, so why don't you just explain it again so I know, so you don't have to ask so I don't have to ask so much in the future. And Gray says, no. Frick this crap, just no. I'm ending this conversation because I've said it all too many times. And because you can't understand. Because you are dumb. And John says, wow, yeah, you're totally not trolling me, bro. I see now, we are BFFs forever. And Gray says, the fact that you are dumb is an immutable fact I am stating for the record. It does not mean animosity is what is taking place here. And John says, oh, okay, so what do you want? And Gray says, I need you to tell your friend Jade to talk to us. She won't answer our messages in this time frame. It's important. And John says, yeah, I don't blame her for not answering. She pretty much can't stand you guys because of all the trolling you did before, remember? And Gray says, okay, our bad on that. Just tell her we're sorry. And to get her gross and totally unattractive human butt off her ugly human high horse and answer my messages. And John says, maybe. We'll see. I'm still not really sold on this friendship thing yet. But I've got to go now and get on with my petty little quests. So talk to you in the future, I guess. Jerkface. John, search for your father's car. It's gonna be a hike. There's something up ahead through the forest. Vagabond, settle this dispute in a rational, diplomatic manner. You settle the dispute in the only way you can presently imagine how to settle a dispute, with cans of lukewarm, sugary liquid and centuries-old rations. If only you had access to some means of heating things up. But it matters not. You warm yourselves in the glow of this human emotion called friendship. Jade, deploy alchemimeter. It's almost as if this broken air conditioning unit was scaled to be a perfect fit for the alchemimeter all along. Weird. Jade, deploy Cruxtruder in Dave's room. Dave says, do you think the Pulsar Computer Committee is secretly scouring the dregs of the game FAQ archives or something? Dang, I can't read this crap, I'm sorry. And Rose says, hold please. And Dave says, hold what? I see you at your computer typing. What are you doing? Dang, hold on. No, seriously, stop talking to me for a second. It looks like Jade is dropping the doomsday tube thingy in my room. BRB gotta make sure she doesn't break all my crap. Dave says, hey, wait. And Jade says, these darn birds are in the way. What are they doing in your apartment anyway? Also, they are adorable. And Dave says, I always keep birds in here. It's sort of my thing. And she says, oh, kind of like all those silly naked puppets at your bro's thing? And he says, no, that's irony. This is like sincere, honest to gosh psychosis. I am training to be a lame, gothy supervillain. And Jade says, also, I think I can't put it down because of the wires on the floor. And he says, okay, well, maybe you should take the opportunity to put it somewhere that isn't stone cold ridiculous. And she says, I wish I played more games. This is hard. And he says, no, it's not. And she says, tongue stick out face. Jade, move Dave's bed to the roof. Rose says, Jade is connected with you? Where did she get the discs? And Dave says, I don't know. How does she do any of the loopy back crap nonsense she does? Maybe she pulled them out of the volcano over there on Blood Monkey Mountain. And Rose says, wait, so you mean to tell me she was able to connect with you in a timely fashion without waiting until you were on the brink of annihilation? And Dave says, we went over this. I was a little bogged down in the epic swaddle of legendary puppet taint. And Rose says, I've done nothing but wait for boys to play this game with me all day. First, John lollygagging with the client, and then you with the server, downright filibustering my existence with unending fraternal melee, and yet a girl, one who didn't even own the game, was able to connect with you minutes after you connected with me. And Dave says, whoa, wait, what the heck is she doing? She's taking my bread, what the heck? And Rose says, and there she goes. She has the karma. Jade, deploy the crook extruder in its place. Dave says, so seriously, what were you doing just now? And Rose says, I was talking to someone. And he says, who? And she says, you remember the trolls? And he says, yeah. And she says, one of them messaged me, so I indulged him/her/it for a moment. And Dave says, oh, I see, you opted to chat up with one of those D-bags instead of talk to the guy who saved you from a swirling crap storm of angry flaming wizards. I was worried your priorities might have been out of whack, but no, I was dead wrong. And Rose says, I also took a moment to check on John. And Dave says, how is he? And she says, I can't see him anymore, just his empty house. But I did talk to him briefly. And Dave says, I should probably text him soon, see what's up, because I love him. And she says, I know. And he says, so this place you're at now is the same place he's at, right? And she says, it's hard to say for certain, but I think I like it here. Jade, replace television with totem lathe. Jade, organize Dave's puppets. This whole place is a disorganized mess. It kind of reminds you of your room, but full of weird and ironic stuff instead of cute and great stuff. Your stuff is so much better. You're pretty sure these are all Dave's bros puppets. You better not mess with them. Frankly, his brother makes you a little nervous. Jade, tidy up Strider's apartment a little. What the apartment needs is a woman's touch. You grab a towel you found lying around and dampen it with water from the toilet. This is how ordinary people clean ordinary houses, right? Oops, you dropped it. Jade says, ah, frick! He has 2,000 grist for some reason. And I spent 2 of it. Sound. Land of light and rain. Renegade, cautiously drink tab. Blech, too warm. Need to find something to chill this down with. Something to heat up your delicious gravy would be nice too. Renegade, retrieve mysterious artifacts from ruins. Excuse yourself for a moment and retrieve a few of your personal belongings. These should really impress your visitors. That musty old toy on the floor ought to make a nice peace offering for the feisty tall one, too. You're quite certain that ladies like squishy, useless things like that. Vagabond, introduce new friends to John. The yellow bandaged fellow seems to have slugged off somewhere. But the tall mail carrier with the lovely white complexion would probably get a kick out of your big computer with the weird boy on it. You show her inside. The hole blown in the station by the caution guy's rocket leads to the third room, which has been locked. Unsurprisingly, there's another sort of gizmo in here, and you have no idea what it does. The station is very low on power, so you don't think you'll be able to find out. You unlock the third room from the inside and go to the computer room. Here he is, the funny boy you were talking about. His name is John. You encourage your alabaster friend to say hi to him using the human keypad communication system. But instead she takes note of your nice chalk drawings and pays you a compliment. You are somewhat mystified by the fact that she is more impressed by your silly drawings than your amazing technology. Maybe simple things are the key to the heart of a lady. You do not know, because you do not know anything about ladies, really. They are a riddle, draped in a mystery, wrapped in post-apocalyptic shroudware. Serenity says, "Yay!" You decide to give her the chalk. She is grateful for the colorful present and thinks it looks like fun. Suddenly, a powerful aroma hits your non-existent nostrils. Someone is cooking something delicious. This demands investigation. You stop and examine the kind mayor's device. It is quite similar to the one in your station before the unfortunate accident, the one with the familiar-looking girl on it. Perhaps this one is best left alone. Still, there is something familiar about the boy on this monitor, too. I'm told your name is John, is that correct? Yep, that's right. It's nice to meet you, John. John isn't directly cognizant of your greeting, but I'm sure he would feel likewise. Okay, John, let's explore this place. Okay, have at it. Yeah, last kick is trolley. This is the tutorial. This may or may not mean anything to you, depending on your current perspective. This is great. Something is in there. Take a look. You got a mini tablet. There's nothing inside. Should we put something in? You drop in one of your precious shoes. You hate to see it go, but you have to follow the custom and give it what the tablet asks for. This one's empty. Perhaps a delivery is in order? Same with this one, you guess. At least this hat didn't technically belong to your dad. You made it yourself. Introduce yourself to the local amphibious fauna. I am a secret wizard. Behold my robes. Behold robes, yes, no? Yes. You wonder what the heck a secret wizard is, but you don't think you'll ask him for your bedsheet back. Hooray, this one contains a prize. Uncarved mini tablet. Open it, open it. You get a chisel. How exciting, a parcel for you. Retrieve it. Got a chunk of... Why am I repeating myself? Converse. It's Crumple Hat. He has renamed himself Crumple Hat. A good place to keep lookout. John says, Nana, are you there? And she says, yes. And he says, I just saw my house from below. What gives? Why did the gate take me down here? And she says, all the gates do, John. To ascend, each time you must first descend. And he says, huh, alright. So I guess I scramble around down here until what? And she says, until you find the next gate. It's hidden somewhere in the land. And he says, okay, so I get to that gate and go in. Then what? Where does it take me? Further up, maybe? But I haven't even built that high yet. And she says, so you see why you had to build in the first place, John? You must have a little faith in your dear old Nana. And he says, yeah, well, I do, Nana, but I'm still not really getting it. Does the next gate down here take me back up to the house or something? Please don't say hoo hoo hoo. And she says, hoo hoo hoo. Seer. Seer, can you hear me? Apparently she can, though usually she goes by Rose. Have a look around, Rose. You have so much to discover. John, go over the river and through the woods. tar basilisk, copper, gig, clops. Another tar basilisk. Jade drops the toilet in Dave's room. Dave says, "This is the worst crapping thing I've ever seen." The thing that just happened. And Jay says, "Hi, Dave." And he says, "Geez." And the worst thing is, all that juice I drank. I mean, you just had to figure all that juice was gonna come back to haunt me. Like Frankenstein's inconsistent freaking ghost. It was like Chekhov's juice. And she says, "What?" And he says, "Let me be perfectly clear. What I'm trying to say is, it's like freaking Christmas up in my bladder up in here, and where do I find my toilet? Oh look, here it is, amputated in my room, gagged with a towel like a freaking prison hostage. And now the Crooxploder is counting down. 4 hours? Oh, I guess that's not bad. 4 hours until what?" she says. And he says, "What? Oh gosh, are you asleep?" And she says, I think I might be." And he says, okay, let's just not panic here." And she says, "I'm not panicking, I feel fine." And he says, "Let's try to play it cool, not break all my crap. Also, don't put anything weird in the seizure kernel. I'm gonna go find somewhere to pee. Don't watch me, okay?" And she says, looks to the left in sweats. And he says, "Like, I know you dream about me enough already. Let's keep some crap to the imagination, okay?" And she says, "I won't look, okay? Jeez." And he says, "The last thing I need is for your weird brain webcam to be snapping shots of my dingus. Your grandpa was a sick frick. Why would he build a voyeur bot for a little girl? Frick." And she says, "Stop being a huge baby and go pee." Dave, use now empty apple juice bottle as pee receptacle. You begin to hatch a brilliant plan. Some code. "Hey dude, here's a sweet code. Hey dude, thanks for the sweet code." Once you're done, you'll capture log the bottle and send the code to Egbert and tell him it's something really important. Then he'll make it and be like, "Oh man, yes, apple juice. I am so thirsty." But he will not be drinking delicious juice, oh no. He will be choking down a world of hot piss, and it will serve him right for liking all those dumb butt movies unironically. But that all sounds like kind of a big waste of time, so you just go in the shower. Dave, kick that puppet out of the shower. Jade says, "Oh no, sad face. Dave." And he says, "What?" And she says, "Sad face." And he says, "What is it?" And she says, "This poor bird." He says, "What bird?" And she says, "The one with the sword through it." And he says, "I wouldn't know anything about that." And she says, "But isn't this your sword?" And he says, "That could be anyone's sword." And she says, "Flat mouth." And he says, "What does it look like? Is it a cheap piece of crap? Because I only bother with high quality blades, forged by stoic Asian masters. Hecka rude, kind of expensive. Heck of rude kinds of expensives. One expensive." And she says, "All I know is, it's sharp, and it's through a bird, and it's a sword, and a story. I'm going to help the poor bird." And he says, "Wait, what do you mean? Dang it, hold on a minute." Jade retrieved Dave's copy of Spurb and the Impaled Crow. Jade put something weird in the seizure kernel. Dave says, "Wow, awesome. So now I guess instead of having a wise or helpful spirit guide sprite thing, I'm stuck with this brainless, feathery butthole." And she says, "What do you mean? I just brought the cute birdie back to life. Isn't he great?" And he says, "We need to wake you up. You're not very logical like this. Kind of dumb, really." And she says, "Gosh, I'm so sorry. I was tired." And he says, "Yeah, but come on, you sleep like 20 hours a day." And she says, "Well, you are out of luck. I will wake up when I'm good and ready." Jade, wake up. Dave says, "Where are you sitting?" Are you on your bed? And she says, yes, why? And he says, what side? And she says, the right side. Why? And you say, okay, here's what I want you to do. Just humor me. Raise your left hand. And she says, okay. And he says, now just kind of swat the air to your left. And she says, dot, dot, dot. Robo slap. Renegade, use gunpowder and empty crates to make a campfire. Terrifying. Renegade, win over that fine carapace in gray. You're vaguely reminded of something. It's hard to remember. It was so many years ago. So many years ago, entrenched in the temporally oblique. What have we here? An illegally parked vehicle. You sure hope this guy's got a swollen pork hollow. He just landed himself in Citation City. Renegade? Surround the scene with caution tape. This looks much more orderly. Public safety has been assured. Your sworn duty as an authority regulator has been upheld. Regulator, write the owner of this vehicle a ticket. Parking citation, 10K boon dollars. Hello, what have we here? You discover a couple of unauthorized parcels in the cabin of the vehicle. You confiscate them immediately. You are a simple parcel mistress on one of your routes. Today is another day of uneventful but highly satisfying deliveries. You stop in your tracks. It is a dangerous agent from the enemy kingdom. Perhaps you should avoid him. But you notice, please deliver this to... He is holding 2 parcels. You recognize one of them. You spend a long time looking for it. Looks like you're going to need to get the package from him somehow. John, activate ghost gloves. Sons of benches are harder to kill than you thought they'd be. The guy Klops absconds. You could have sworn that strange man was holding your copy of Colonel Sassacre's. Vagabond, Peregrine, Renegade, Stargaze. It is a clear and peaceful night. A delicious meal has been shared with new friends. The glow of the ammunition fire gradually subsides. All is well. But you can't shake the feeling there's something familiar about all this. There's something you're forgetting. Of course, now you remember. You must deliver a message to John right away. Women. Mistress, retrieve package. You conclude you have no choice. You will march right up to him and ask politely for the package. Wait a minute, what's this? Crappy, sorry, John. It is a carved mini tablet. The carving is not especially clear, to say the least, but your wealth of delivery experience allows you to decipher it immediately. It is the other parcel the agent is holding. It appears you'll need to acquire both from him now. It is your sworn duty. Mistress, ready sword. You don't have a sword. You're quite sure it would never occur to you to carry a sword or resort to violence under any circumstances. You'll have to take a more diplomatic route with this fellow. I forgot what he's... Regulator, doff your hat to the attractive female. You doff so furiously you are in danger of starting a hat fire. Probably not the best idea around all this oil, especially without any sort of flame suppressant handy. I shouldn't have clicked on that. Oh, it links to John's dad's shaving cream. Mistress, retrieve both parcels. He cannot give them to you. They are illegal contraband, and if you wish to petition for their release, you must consult with his superiors. You show him the carved mini-tablet. As he can plainly see, you have signed authorization to deliver one of the parcels. He gives you the envelope, but he retains the package. You quickly drop the envelope into an empty pyxis. It is out of your hands now. The breeze knows where to take it. You follow the agent. You must not lose track of that parcel. John, chase the man. You know you want your book, or you want your book. You have some questions for that guy, whoever he is, but the village is still burning. You gotta help these salamanders put out this fire. John, save the lizards. Okay, you just said they were salamanders. Anyway, thank goodness for your barbasol bomb. The cooling lather should work its magic in no time. Oh gosh, how can shaving cream be so flammable? A big gust of wind conveniently comes along and blows out all the fire. It is really convenient. The townspeople rejoice and are more than willing to give you all the credit. You suspect it is probably because they are not all that smart. John, the uncarved tablet you retrieved. Do you still have it? Why, yes, it appears you do. Great, I would like you to carve something on it. You seem amenable to this request. It's a little wobbly on top of all these dancing lizards, though. Not that it matters, because you suck at drawing anyway. Rose, find your sprite. Your deceased pet. Jasper Sprite is nowhere to be found. He was always a little cagey, even when he was alive. Is it not why you are here? Someone is pestering you, but you are oblivious to the message because your laptop is buried under 3 inches of freaking yarn. There are footprints in the white sand. Follow them. Looks like they lead out back to the mausoleum. Examine your pet's tomb. The mausoleum was destroyed by the explosion. The secret passage remains. You have no idea where it leads, but it sure isn't the lab anymore. Enter. It seems someone has recently untied a boat. A mother will do whatever is best for her children. Vagabond, become the mayor of Exile Town. You build a bigger and better town to preside over. All the expatriates are welcome, no matter what happened in the past, regardless of professional persuasion or metallurgical whatever affiliation. You cut the town's ribbon with an official judicial bayonet, which is stuck inside a grenade, but you're kinda nervous about removing it. This should catch the eye of the tall, nice lady. The grumpy yellow guy thinks this is dumb. He thinks it's dumb because any town without a proper militia is as good as conquered. As such, he prepares one begrudgingly. It's a dirty job, but someone must be charged with the defense of the innocent. Vagabond. Fondly regard desert night. The stars twinkle over the freshly christened Exile Town. It's a beautiful evening, and the future is so full of promise you can't imagine what could possibly... Oh my gosh, huge eggy-looking thing just appeared in the sky. Egg. Jade, give Dave punch card of an eggy-looking thing. Sick. Okay, you do that, and then he makes a totem with it, and then some other stuff happens, and then egg. Dave, pester Jade. Oh man, awesome. It's awesome where you put that. I was worried we were on the verge of getting some crap done. And she says, "Durr, Dave, I was gonna build some stairs up there, durr." And he says, "Well, are they? You say there will be stairs, and yet I see no stairs." And she says, gosh, I don't know. I guess I didn't find the time to make them because I keep getting punched in the face by robots and stuff. And he says, sorry. And she says, winky face with tongue sticking out. He says, am I supposed to break that thing? Or hatch it? Or what? And she says, I don't know. And he says, also, what happened to all my crap? The stuff scattered all over the roof. Did you put it somewhere? And she says, nope. And he says, I mean, not that I care. Okay, she says, nope, ... It was mostly useless garbage. And she says, what was it doing up here? And he says, I was going to use it to fight my bro with, but I guess I forgot it in the heat of battle. Also, he was too fast. Dave, make the world's largest omelet. Caca! Whoops, looks like that dumb idea isn't gonna happen. A brainless feathery butthole swoops down and carries the egg away. Dave says, okay, so the egg is now in a nest made of crappy swords and soft puppet butt. Please advise. And she says, I think your sprite wants to hatch it. Aww. And he says, do you think that'll take more than 4 hours? And he says, I don't know, it looks like it's pretty warm where you are. And he says, it's hot as the sizzle side of the steak. And she says, maybe not too long then? I guess we'll find out. And he says, maybe I should try to get it back and put it in the microwave. She says, sad face. Jade, deploy punch Designix. Can't, you'll need some shale for that. Jade, check unknown objects. Okay. She says, okay, some of these things we can deploy, but some things we don't have nearly enough grist for. And Dave says, you mean the jumper block thing? And she says, no, we've got enough of that, but it's still pretty expensive. And he says, wait, what? The thing costs 1K for me. And she says, yeah, me too. And we have 2K to work with. Okay. 1,998. Little tiny face with flat mouth. And he says, what? Man, I only get 200 to splash around with in Rose's rainbow world. What the heck? And she says, oh, how much did Rose start with when she was playing with John? And he says, hang on, I'll ask. And she says, K. And he says, she says 20. And Jade says, I guess we keep getting more with each server client connection. And Dave says, yeah, so I guess you can buy everything now. And she says, no, I can't buy the holopad thingy and the IntelliBeam laser station. And Dave says, okay, now I know you're making this crap up. And she says, haha, no, they're right there. They cost a fortune. And he says, well, all I got here is the Designix, which I can't deploy because I don't have any purples, and the expensive as heck jumper thing, and the cheap shunts, which I assume do crap all without the jumpers to put them on. Also the CD, which is 100, but I didn't drop it because it seemed like a stiff allocation of resources for now. She says, yeah, I've got that too. I will deploy it. And he says, so with each new connection in our player chain, I guess new weird deployables are introduced. And she says, yes, I think that's how it works. When John connects with me, he will probably get some cool new things too. And Dave says, hey, look, we're learning stuff. Jade, deploy green and white compact disc. Dave says, what should I do with these beta copies? I don't really need them anymore. And Jade says, I suppose just hang on to them for a while, and then later do whatever you are naturally compelled to do with them. And he says, wow, that was a weird answer, but okay. You take the beta and the CD. Jade, deploy circuit board looking thingy. It was obviously labeled as the jumper block extension. It appears to be deployable only as an extension to the alchemeter. Looks like you're gonna have to move it. Dang, it looks so nice up there. You expend another relatively affordable 100 build grist to reallocate it. Then pay the steep fee of 1,000 build grist to deploy the jumper block extension. Jade, attempt to deploy catalog disk drive. Again, the name of the thing was right there in plain sight. You deploy the punch card shunt for peanuts. Looks like a capture log card is supposed to fit in the slot. Dave, insert card with the CD on the slot. You put the card in the slot and stick the shunt on the jumper pins. Nothing happens. You might need to stick a punch card in there probably, allowing the holes in the card to affect the flow of the current through the circuits. And punch cards, you'll need to get to Designix somehow. Dave, insert disk into computer. Dave, install software. Inventing rubber hoists. That's just loading text, I think. Plugin detected. Installing grister.exe. Oh, Grist Torrent is now running. Dave, illegally pirate some of John's shale. You start leeching off John's shale at a pace of 4 grist per second. Not the fastest download rate, but then again you don't need a whole lot. In 1 second you've already collected enough for a punch Designix. Dave, download a bunch of grist from John, he has plenty. You set the application to leech off John's build grist because he obviously got too much for his own good. It cuts the download rate in half though. You guide the heir. Consult with him. Dave began pestering Rose and says, Rose, are you there? I went through the gate. Nana said you might be here too. And she says, okay, are you in kind of the spooky glowy place with oily rivers and stuff? Let me know, okay? And she says, I guess one could use those words to describe it, if armed with a predilection for the inapt. And he says, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what words would you use, Miss Wordy Pants McSmarty blah? And she says, eerily iridescent? And he says, And she says, I certainly don't see any oily rivers. There's an ocean, though. And he says, I haven't found an ocean yet, but I don't know, the place is really big. It's like a whole planet down here. Oh man, which reminds me, I just got hounded by a troll. And she says, yes, one of them is bugging me now. I thought it was odd timing. And he says, yeah, well, they say they want to be friends. Also, they're playing Spurb, but not like the same session as ours or something. Oh, also they're moving backwards in time, which sounds like bullcrap, but whatever. And she says, color my curiosity piqued, I guess. And he says, yeah, I guess answer him if you want, or not. But anyway, it's great that you made it here alive and stuff. So Dave came through? And she says, eventually, pardon the envy I'm about to vent in your direction. And he says, for what? And she says, for finding yourself at the mercy of a rational orchestrator. And he says, oh, haha, yeah, I'd feel kind of weird if Dave was watching me too. And she says, you don't feel weird when I watch you? And he says, Rose, I feel weird when you're just talking to me. When you're watching me, it's like the weird frosting on the big weirdo cake. And she says, I can't see you now for what it's worth. And he says, yes, I'm free! Happy face, open mouth. Okay, I'm gonna go over this river and through these woods. You talk to your troll, I guess. We'll compare notes later. And Rose says, okay, bye, John. Who is this bothering you? Gallows Calibrator, who is Teal, began pestering Rose. And Teal says, hey, Lalonde, stop crying in your mom's beverage. She hates you and has left you forever. Hee 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 hee. Angry but happy face, angry eyebrows. Rose says, now I'm confused. On the surface, this appears to be another contrivance from a troll desperate to offend. But John said you wanted to be friends. And if you knew me, I suppose your remark could be construed as a ploy to elicit agreement, and soon rapport, not that it would actually work. And Teal says, gosh, you really do talk too much. And Rose says, so which is it? And Teal says, oh, your text smells good. Is that lavender? And Rose says, you smell words. And Teal says, you don't? And Rose says, right, aliens, I forgot. And Teal says, yes, it is easy to forget, given our rapport, and how much we really have in common. I forget that you humans actually communicate with speech instead of releasing clouds of fragrant gases and smelling each other's sentences. And Rose says, gross. And Teal says, ha ha ha, so gullible. You believe anything I tell you. Of course we talk, dummy. Happy face, angry eyebrows. And Rose says, still not sure if I'm being courted or trolled here. And Teal says, I'm gonna go with the latter. I hate you all quite a lot, but I think the others will eventually realize that it'll be mutually beneficial for us all to work together, and so they'll probably be all friendly, like later on. And Rose says, by later on you mean now? And Teal says, yeah, that's probably what John was hearing. And maybe they'll even mean it and want to be friendly. But I intend to stay pissed at you forever, even if I seem helpful. And Rose says, then you're in luck, because you don't. And Teal says, heh, no, but I will be. The fact that I will be helpful is an immutable fact I am stating for this record. It does not mean friendship is what is taking place here. And Rose says, John was told you were moving backwards through time. Was he gullible to believe this? Or is the fact that I'm asking just a further indication of my own gullibility? Feel free to continue shifting the definition of the word to suit your convenience. And Teal says, we haven't even been talking to you for long. Like a few minutes from my perspective. If there are some of us who... Whoops. Great. I hit an arrow key. If there are some of us who decided to start talking to you at the end of your adventure, right off the bat, instead of the beginning, like what's logical, then that's their stupid business. I'm staying linear, because weird time stuff gives me a headache. Oh, also it's pointless. And Rose says, alright, let's continue milking my human gullibility and say I believe you. You're the sensible one who's decided to communicate with us in a linear lockstep with our timeline in order to help us out. How can you help me? And Teal says, you just entered your medium, right? And Rose says, yes. And Teal says, okay. Does it seem like there's a subtle voice in your head urging you to do things? And Rose says, yes. It's not so subtle, actually. And Teal says, yes, angry eyebrows, open mouth. For me, too, it was more loud and clear than for the others. You see, we are meant to be best hate friends forever. And Rose says, a beautiful soul grudge, this cosmic was surely authored by the constellations. And Teal says, they all thought I was crazy. But ha ha ha, it turned out that we were in our own ways, that helped us realize the particular destinies the game put together for us in the vocabulary of, like, the hyper-flexible mythology it tailors to each player group. And Rose says, you mean, for instance, if a player were to learn she was a seer? And Teal says, yeah, exactly. Seer of mind, page of breath, night of blood, maid of time, etc., etc., etc. 12 for us, but obviously 4 for you. Every session is different. And Rose says, and this voice? And Teal says, oh yeah, it's an exile. And Rose says, exiled from what? And Teal says, it took us forever to figure this out, because they aren't meant to be an obvious aspect of the game. They're on your dead planet, just like they're on ours, years after its reckoning. Their role is to help you on your quest in some ways. The obvious way is by directly guiding your actions, but maybe the more important ways are these little things they do probably without even realizing it. Actions that complete loops in the timeline. Cogs in paradox space. And Rose says, paradox space? And Teal says, ah heck. Listen, the universe will eat paradoxes for breakfast, and so will this game. Get used to it. By now you should realize this whole mess was a big self-fulfilling cluster frick. A huge orgastic Mobius double reach around. Rose says, I'm starting to see that. So the exiles are on Earth? Does that mean our goal is to get back there too? To resurrect it somehow? And Teal says, no, no, no. See, ironically, they get to do that. After they're done helping you, that is. Your job is of greater consequence, to say the least. But part of their job is to rebuild life and civilization there. And if they're successful in thousands or millions of years, The technology is unearthed, and the planet is ripe for seeding all over again. And Rose says, you never answered the question. What were they exiled from? And Teal says, from the two kingdoms in the Insphosphere. Expatriated? During the reckoning. Former agents. And Rose says, what are agents? Teal says, I think this will be more constructive if I contact you again in a little while, when you know more and I don't have to explain so much. And Rose says, when? And Teal says, in a couple of seconds. For me, but not for you, sucker. And then they stop trolling Rose. Meanwhile, the past pulls a mean double reach around. John pestering Jade, and he says, happy birthday. And he got her present in the mail just in time. But she's being trolled by Gray, who says, wait, gosh dang it, don't block me. I mean, not that blocking me would do anything, but just listen. And Jade says, what do you want? And he says, I just have to deliver a message and then I'll go. This is a message from you, so you probably ought to listen. And Jade says, this is nonsense. Every time I believe something you say, you laugh at me and call me a gullible human. It is so childish. And he says, okay, fine, I admit it. I completely crapped the bed here. I get that. And I can't promise I won't keep trolling you, because I will, in weeks or months or whatever. I'll keep giving you a hard time. But see, that won't be present me. That's past me. From like a half hour ago or so, when I was more hot and bothered about all this, okay? And Rose says, sad face, open mouth. I don't know what you're talking about at all. It's another prank. And he says, whatever, fine, think it's a prank. As long as you remember this conversation. See, we're trying to talk to you in the future, and it's important, but you won't answer us. So we talk to you way in the future to ask how to get in touch with not so future you. Are you following? And Jade says, no. And Gray says, she said to talk to you now and tell you this. You know your robot? And she says, you mean the robot you think is stupid? The one you've mocked me for having on a number of occasions? And he says, yeah, well, I still do think your robot is stupid, but that's besides the point. Later on, it will blow up for some reason. It doesn't matter why. And she says, this is the worst prank you've ever pulled. And he says, quiet. Anyway, when it happens, you won't know what to do. The thing to do is contact us, and we'll tell you what to do. She says, why should I do that? And he says, because that's what you told us to tell you. Whatever. Believe me, don't believe me. I did my job. I'm out of here. And then he ceased pestering her. And Jade says, okay, I'm back, sorry. I had to tell someone to go away. And then they talk about how it was the trolls. And how John changed his name. The boy. The package from your pen pal appears again. You've been wondering when it was going to show up. It's been months since you last worked on it. Hopefully your friend has made the final modifications you require. You'll have to mail it soon so it reaches John in time. Teal began pestering John. And she says, hee hee hee, and he says, ugh. And she says, hee 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 hee, ha 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 ha, hee 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 hee. And he says, eh? And she says, lol, hee 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 hee, smiley face, angry eyebrows. And he says, well, I guess you're not too bad of a troll if this is all you do. Just laughing and stuff. And she says, hee 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 hee, ha 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 ha. And he says, hee hee. And she says, ha 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 ha. And he says, hee 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 hee. And she says, John, why would you laugh at a blind girl? And he says, And she says, you have no idea how much you disgust me. You're a total disgrace to the field of ectobiology. If we ever meet, I'm going to cut your throat and listen to you bleed while I smell you die. And then she left him alone. You think it's time to change your job handle? To what, though? Gotta be something they'll never suspect. What was that thing she said to you were a disgrace to? You kind of have a hard time reading crappy elite speak in spite of your awesome hacker cred. Mistress, follow the agent. You've followed the authority regulator into enemy territory. It is a risky move, and this dark place makes you very uncomfortable, but it's imperative as you press on. It is imperative you press on and recover that parcel. You brought along the parking citation. If confronted, you will say you're only here to deliver payment and leave. You have no idea where you're going. You're too nervous to ask anyone. You take a turn somewhere and find an especially regal-looking red carpet. You wonder where it could possibly lead. The Black Queen directs you to the office of the Archagent. He is in charge of most of the tedious paperwork around here. Rosa must leave now. This is the last you will hear from me. Find your sprite, realize your purpose. You return to a more typical mindset. You suddenly feel empowered to make important decisions on your own without supervision, parental or otherwise. Rose sipped martini thoughtfully. Such as this one. A tiny sip couldn't hurt. What? Fourth Exile suddenly appear. A windswept questant suddenly appears. Peregrine, command John to put the carved tablet into a pyxis. You follow the command telling you to command John to put the carved tablets in the pyxis and type John put the carved tablet into the pyxis. You successfully do that, and he successfully does that too. Everyone is friendly and cooperative. Egg. What the heck was that? It almost sounded like a huge egg appeared in the sky and landed, and then someone mysterious teleported out of it. Mistress, locate the Archagent. You find the agent's office, but he's nowhere to be found. You eye something on the desk there. Mistress, grab the box and run. You act quickly enough, maybe you can grab the package and get out of here before Can I Help You? Mr. Noir tells you that that ticket had better be notarized and punched in triplicate and presented with the full $1 penalty plus processing fees, or you are wasting valuable time he could otherwise spend shirking his clerical duties. Ticket? Oh, this thing. Haha, look at that, you're holding a ticket. How did that get in your hand? It belongs on the desk with the others. No, you're not here to pay a parking ticket. You explain to the frightening man that you're here to pick up that green parcel. Jack makes it clear that he would rather stab something to death than process the avalanche of paperwork needed to release the confiscated freight. Also, any legit courier would have the pickup forms ready to go. In spite of how he's supposed to be dressed now, but isn't, he ain't nobody's fool. But perhaps an understanding can be reached. He gives you a hit list. Bring him the crowns. He'll give you the box. Jack, examine package. The parcel mistress departs with her mission of double agency. You wonder if she'll actually be so foolish as to attempt to uphold her end of the lopsided bargain. You'll make a policy of handing out registered, and a hit list to just about everyone who enters your office. But you never think anyone's actually going to go through with it. You wish you could watch. She's a dead woman. You wonder why she's so desperate to acquire this package. What could be inside? Jack, open it. Dave, punch some cards. You've leached more than enough grist from John to afford a punch to Xynix, which for some reason Jade put in the hallway, making it kinda hard to walk through your apartment, but whatever. You also have plenty of grist for messing around with the alchemeter to manufacture some new gear if you want, but you'd like to figure out what the jumper block does first. Jade keeps dropping a weird assortment of objects for you to capture log and punch. You've given up trying to identify any rhyme or reason to the thought process behind it. Dave, put a punched card in a shunt. You put the punched blender card in a shunt, just for the heck of it, and stick it on the jumper pins. The alchemeter is fitted with the blender upgrade. This upgrade doesn't seem all that useful. Looks like all it does is grind up your totems. Dave, use punched Game Bro magazine card. The alchemy is upgraded with a huge metal bust of this awesome bro. The device has been reduced to an utterly useless heap of crap. Time to yank out all the shunts and start over. Jade, draw the punch designix. Your inscrutable thought process leads you to draw the punch designix on your scribble pad. The pad recognizes drawing, but there is no designix around, and even if there was, it would obviously be way too big to capture log. Instead, the ghost image of the designix is captured along with its captcha code on the back. Jade, send the code to Dave. She says, Dave, here, punch this code. L229BXOG. And then put it in the jumper shunty thing and see what it does. And he says, okay. Dave, punch the code and put it in the jumper shunty thing. And he says, so I guess this is just a built-in designix. Which is sort of cool, I guess, since I won't have to go downstairs and bang the hallway door into the thing and squeeze through every time I want to punch a card. Because of course you couldn't have just put it next to the alchemeter in the first place. But then I have to go downstairs anyway to make totems and get Crooksite and stuff, so who really cares? She says, well, I think this is only one way to consolidate all the gizmo features. Hang on, I'll give you more codes. Jade, draw the holopad. You don't have nearly enough grist to deploy the holopad, whatever it does, but maybe you can get it as a freebie upgrade to the alchemeter. Looks like it worked. You love your scribble pad. Dave, upgrade alchemeter with holopad. The totem pedestal is converted into a holographic projector. It projects an image of the item the punch code represents. This seems useful for previewing an item a code will produce without spending the grist on it. You test it out with the blender card, but it still renders the alchemeter unusable, at least without further upgrades. Hi, Fifi. Hi. Jade, draw the totem lathe. You capture the lathe ghost image and apply the upgrade. Now the holopad projects a hologram of the totem that a punch card will create. This appears to turn the alchemeter into a one-stop shopping hub. You just punch a card, stick it in, and get your item. Nice. Jade, draw the jumper block. You get the code for the jumper block extension to upgrade the alchemeter with the jumper block extension? Okay, that's kind of a crappy drawing, but it seems to work anyway. Dave, upgrade. It's just getting a little abstract. It appears to economize on space. Now all you have to do is stick a card in the slot and apply an upgrade. Don't have to bother with the shunts anymore. Jade, draw the IntelliBeam laser station. This thing looks kind of complicated. Dang it. Dave, capture log enlarger. You grab the enlarger from your dismantled photography lab. Dave, upgrade. You apply the enlarger upgrade. Jade, draw air conditioner on roof. You ghost capture the huge air conditioner and give Dave the code to mess around with. Dave, make air conditioner unit. The size of the object you make is now variable. The bigger, the more expensive, as one would expect. You make a tiny air conditioner. This was totally not a waste of time. John, find the car. You find your father's car near the base of a rock pillar. You're surrounded by caution tape for some reason. You are reminded to be cautious. You cautiously inspect the vehicle. To no one's surprise but yours, the package and the game are missing. Someone is bugging you. Teal began pestering John and says, John, it's me again. And he says, who? Oh, that's right, the leet-speaking blind one. Go away. And she says, John, don't make fun of my handicap. And he says, which one, the blindness or the leet-speak? And she says, I am sensitive about both. And he says, sorry. He says, you can make it up to me by letting me help you. And he says, wow, you drive a hard bargain, but no. And she says, before you keep typing more stupid O's in that word, you listen and do what I say. You know you're going to eventually anyway, because you're a nice guy, and a kind of a total weenie pushover. And he says, yeah, well, you're a huge... Oh man, whatever, what do you even want? And she says, I'm motivated by self-interest to help you advance more quickly because I've got your whole adventure right here in front of me. And he says, do you have a braille screen or something? And she says, shh. Anyway, the point is, it's long and boring, and you could stand to skip some steps. And he says, I don't really understand. So you can just see my whole future right there by just like scrolling around on some computer thing that lets you pick what time to talk to me? How can you be bored by my long, boring future? Why don't you just scroll around to whatever you want, like the other weirdos are doing? And she says, okay, I can do that, and I am. I guess what I really mean is, I just want to mess with you. And he says, oh, okay, that sounds really great and helpful. And she says, I mean mess with the timeline. My friends all think that you can't really change anything, that your timeline, or chat hopping around, is set in stone, no matter what we say, when we say it. And they're probably right. But I don't care. I want to mess with it and taste what happens. Happy face, angry eyebrows. And he says, sounds dumb. But if it means you're going to help me, then go ahead and help me, I guess. And she says, let's get you into the gate first. It's not far. I sniffed out a map of your planet. And he says, whoa, you've got a map? Where'd you get it? And she says, John, we are so much better than you in every respect. It's ridiculous. And he says, can I have it? And she says, it's huge and mostly irrelevant. Here, let me draw you a small section of it showing you where to go. And he says, okay. And she sent the file, go here, John.gif. Oh, beautiful. He says, this is the worst crap I have ever seen. What am I looking at here? And she says, it's the best I can do, frowny face, angry eyebrows. And he says, okay, sorry, but this is useless. What's with these colors? And she says, I picked ones that smell nice. And he says, couldn't you just, like, crop the world map? I thought you guys were the best. And she says, shut up, my map is fine. Look, it's not even that far away. I'll lead you to it. It's a big pipe. You jump in. The wind will take you to the gate. It's a shortcut. And he says, you mean the breeze? And she says, yeah, whatever. Let's get moving, John. Are you ready to frick up the timeline? And he says, sure.